How's it going, you guys? So in this video I'm going to be discussing yerba mate and how to maximize the beneficial effects of yerba mate, including creativity, euphoria, and productivity. I've received numerous comments from one of my subscribers on videos that I posted in the past, and he's asked me about it on live streams and also DM'd me on Instagram asking me how to increase the euphoric effects and or the creativity boosting effects of yerba mate. So I actually literally just tried filming a video about this and it came out amazing and perfect, but unfortunately for what I swear to God I pressed the record button but it didn't record. So pretty disappointed, but I'm going to redo this video anyway, especially because, you know, my subscriber who wants to know about this, you know, he's been asking me and I've just been so busy that I haven't been able to get around to it. So it's a very comprehensive answer, how to increase the beneficial effects of yerba mate. So what you have to understand is that there's a wide variety of different forms of yerba mate. Okay, so everything from the region that it's grown to the cutting method, right? Is it cut fine? Is it the powdered yerba mate like chimarrão from Brazil? Is it pure leaf yerba mate? Is it a mix of leaf and stem? Is it roasted or raw? Is it Brazilian yerba mate? Is it from Uruguay? I can't even say that right. Is it from Argentina or Uruguay? I don't know how to say that. The other thing is how you consume it. Okay, so this is a big one. One of the most prominent ways of consuming yerba mate, people like Tim Ferriss, for example, have mentioned this, and many other self-help gurus and entrepreneurs have said that they've experimented with yerba mate, and what they found is brewing it the traditional way using a gourd and bombilla or bombisha, you know, small sips over the course of hours doing intensive productivity work, seems to produce the most beneficial effects and boosts in creativity, productivity, and euphoria. And so you get small little hits of caffeine and the active compounds over time by consuming it in the traditional gourd method. But then you have the French press. You can make it in a French press. You can make yerba mate in a teapot. Right now I'm actually brewing some loose leaf black tea from India, some Assam black tea. You can brew it in a coffee pot, although a lot of people would say that that's horrible. You can put a whole bunch of loose leaf in a cup, and I've done this numerous times, and then use a filter straw, like pour the boiling water over it, similar to how you do with a gourd, only instead of, you know, just a little bit of water at a time, sipping the yerba mate out of a small part of the cup, you're literally putting yerba mate like in a teacup like this one, or a coffee cup, and then pouring water over it and using a bombisha filter straw to drink the yerba mate that way. So, you know, with such a wide variety of brands, of, you know, processing methods, of regions in which it's grown, ways of consumption, it's really hard to just nail down one and recommend it to an individual. The other thing is that how much leaf you use in one sitting, in one serving, and how long you brew it is going to make a big difference. And this again is also going to depend on the brewing method. So for example, if you put yerba mate, if you put, you know, 4 tablespoons of yerba mate in a teapot, and you brew it in a teapot for 10 minutes, that's going to have a different effect than if you put, you know, 4 tablespoons in a gourd and then you put the water, you fill the gourd with water, up to the point where you're supposed to drink it, and you let it sit for 10 minutes. Most people wouldn't do it that way in a gourd, but it's going to have a vastly different effect. How long you brew, or how long you steep the yerba mate is going to influence the amount and the type of compounds that are being released into the water. Also, the temperature of the water. If you use boiling water, for example, you're going to get a lot more of the bitter and what some people call the harsher compounds released, and it's going to release a lot sooner versus smaller steeps over time. If you use a lot of leaf at once and you use like a French press or a teapot, then it's going to be very, very strong compared to if you drink it out of a gourd. Because a gourd, when you drink your mate out of a gourd, you're filling up the gourd 1/2 to 3/4 of the way of the gourd. That's almost as much as the palm of my hand. That's a lot of loose leaf, but the thing is, because the gourd is almost completely full, you're only filling a small portion of the gourd full of water, and you're consuming it in a way that only parts of the leaves are extracting water. And there's such a small amount of water in there, and you're drinking it so quickly that it's not going to be, steeping in the water for very long. Only like 30 to 60 seconds at a time in between drinks. And so it'll be a lot less rough around the edges of a buzz than if you were to make it in a teapot, in a French press, or in a mug with a filter straw. So, if I had a rule of thumb for how to consume yerba mate to get the euphoric, productive, creative effects, what would I recommend? So, from what I've heard, the best way to consume it in that extent would be get the gourd, get a bombilla, whatever you want to call it, a filter straw. And I would say, I think it's the Ann Park brand of yerba mate I've heard is really good for this purpose. Drink it the traditional way. Experiment with 1/2 of the gourd first, and then 3/4 of a gourd. And how big the gourd is going to be a big deal too. And then see how it affects you. So, a big thing here is just experimentation. It's looking at other people's experiences on Reddit, browsing the yerba mate subreddit and seeing people's favorite brands, looking at the reviews on Amazon. Now, I will say the best yerba mate I've ever had was Eco Teas. Was it Eco Teas yerba mate? I believe it was. Was it Eco Teas? Eco Teas? Yeah, I believe it was Eco Teas yerba mate. I believe it was Eco Teas. I don't remember. I think it was Eco Teas brand. Or, no, it was Mate Factor. Mate Factor. It was in a yellow box, and they made tea bags. And when I was out in San Diego, that was the only thing I could find that I could brew at my hotel at the time. And so, and I was at the health food store. And so I got the Mate Factor, and it was super expensive in San Diego. It was like $8. And so, that stuff gave me euphoria at 2 tea bags and at 4. And I would use 4 tea bags. 4 tea bags is the equivalent of, 2 to 4 teaspoons, which is about 1 tablespoon of loose leaf. And I used to just let it sit there for like 20 minutes. And, that's a long time, I guess, for most teas, but yerba mate tends to be more robust, and it can endure longer steeping times. And I experienced great euphoria and great feelings from that. And bonus points if you eat food, drink kombucha afterwards, and then wash it down with yerba mate. That was amazing. That was making me feel pretty good at that time. 2017, back when I used to do that type of stuff. So, yeah. Eco Teas, not Eco Teas, Mate Factor was great. I think Nativa's brand yerba mate is pretty good. Canarias is good. Rosa Mate or Cruz del Mate, I think it's the it's the kind with the stem and it's roasted. I felt kind of burnt out. It's a weird feeling. Guayarki tends to be pretty good, especially their raw leaf yerba mate. And Park is good. What else? Yeah, Rosamante is good, especially their special like dark blend or whatever it was, or their special reserve was really, really good. But I would just recommend people experiment and find what's good for that. What works best for them. I think Echo Tea's raw green was really good. And typically I would brew it, and I think rinsing the tea is a good idea. I notice a better buzz if I use what they call dummy water. Regardless of your brewing method, put it, in a teapot, put it in like one of these things here, like a couple teaspoons of, like maybe 2 tablespoons. Start off with 2 tablespoons of yerba mate, pour some warm water on it, let it sit for like 10 seconds, and then pour it out to clean off the leaves, any debris or anything that might still be on it. And then brew the 2 tablespoons or whatever in a teapot for like 10 minutes or so. Drink that brew and then brew yourself another one for like 20 minutes maybe, and see which infusion makes you feel better. And that would be where I would start. Otherwise, get the gourd, use one of the brands that a lot of people say is really good, like Ann Park, and do what everyone else gets best results on. And that's probably the best route to go. Otherwise, the teapot method is worth a try. I think the French press is probably the best one if you want all the active compounds and things in it that are in it, because it's almost like you're just steeping the raw leaf in there and it's floating around and it's giving it a really good soak, and you're pressing the mate down, and that's going to release a lot of the nutrients in the leaf and potentially anti-nutrients as well. I think pressed mate is probably the most where you get the most bang for your buck, but I think the bang might actually be a little too intense, and that might actually ruin your productive effects of the mate. So with that being said, other tips would be trying mixed blends that contain guarana, and then there's things like what you eat with the mate can affect it too, because I think mate and teas in general tend to lower blood sugar down quite a bit. So maybe like what I like to do is I'll eat some meat, meat and vegetables. I used to always do like meat and vegetables with like white rice, jasmine rice back in the day, and I'd wash it down with yerba mate. And that would give me a pretty good buzz. I would take loose leaf yerba mate to Chinese buffets. I'd eat a bunch of sushi, and then I would drink some yerba mate afterwards. That would always make me feel good. And also making sure you're hydrated and stuff like that. So leave your question, comments down below. Let me know, what is your favorite way to consume yerba mate? What ways have you tried it? And if you have any tips or any blurbs about mate, put them down below. What's your favorite brand and way of consumption? I'll talk to you all in the next video.